So looking at the system, where do you see fragility at the moment?
So the lack of growth is a major issue. The fact that there's a chance that even the growth that we have will decouple from jobs. And that's a risk with AI, as we mentioned earlier. And jobs are really important for social stability. And then the third issue is inequality. We are living in a world that tends to reward people, and these rewards tend to be highly concentrated. The answer, of course, to all this is growth that is inclusive and sustainable. And I think that has become the number one agenda for many, many countries.
I was on the phone to a friend in the US a couple of days ago, and he said to me something, and I said, I'm going to use that in my interview with Mohammed Al-Aryan. And he said, the rich are getting richer and everybody else is working for them. Do you agree?
I hear that. It's a problem. And my response to people who are getting rich is a simple sentence: you cannot be a good house in a challenged neighborhood. True. The neighborhood matters. So don't think that you can exclude yourself from what else is happening on there. And I think the people in New York, for example, are learning this lesson with the election of a mayor whose main argument was affordability. That affordability was leaving most of New Yorkers behind, right? And it's important.
That applies to neighborhoods, that applies to countries as well. So globally, are we going to move forward? Are we going to see this growth that we aspire for that's going to solve many of the problems that we live today if we have this inequality?
Only if we change the way we're doing lots of things.
Like what?
Even the house neighborhood effect matters. It matters because of migration. So it does matter whether there is convergence in the rest of the world or whether they're being left behind. In a world in which people are left behind, that's a more unstable world, and that's a world which will end up by having consequences not only for those left behind, but those who think that they're fine. So we are living in that dynamic right now, but this is not an engineering problem. It's a leadership problem. Okay, so if you look at what is required, I think people understand what policies are required. You need just leadership at the national level, and you need coordination at the international level.
And these politics are taking markets hostage.
Yes, they're taking market hostage because we're now living in this world of geo-economics. It's probably the fastest growing field within economics. And it starts with the principle that economic outcomes are no longer determined by economic logic and commercial logic. Increasingly, they're being determined by geopolitics, national security, and domestic politics.
And